Alex Mason stared out the viewport of the transport ship as the blue-green sphere of Earth shrank behind him. His stomach fluttered, not from the zero-gravity transition, but from the realization that he was leaving his home planet for the first time. The 20-year-old ran his calloused hand through his short brown hair and took a deep breath. "First time off-world?" asked the blue-skinned attendant floating nearby. She had 4 arms and eyes that blinked sideways. "Yes, ma'am," Alex replied with a polite nod. Growing up in rural Wyoming had taught him manners even when talking to aliens. The attendant's skin rippled in what Alex had learned was a gesture of surprise. "And you're not sick? Most first-timers from Earth need stabilizers during transition." Alex shrugged. "I used to ride roller coasters for fun. This isn't so different." Another ripple, stronger this time. "Fascinating. You Earthlings truly are remarkable." Alex didn't feel remarkable. He felt ordinary. Back home, he was just a college kid from a small town who helped on his parents' ranch, went hunting with friends and survived the occasional wildfire or flash flood. Nothing special. The Galactic Federation representatives who had shown up at his community college had thought differently. They called Earth a Class 12 Deathworld, the highest rating in their classification system. When they'd reviewed his application for the exchange program, his everyday experiences had apparently made him an ideal candidate. 3 days later, the transport ship docked at Nexus Station, home of the Celestial Academy. Alex stepped through the airlock, carrying his single duffel bag over his shoulder. The artificial gravity felt light, about 0.8 of Earth normal, making him feel bouncy with each step. The orientation hall buzzed with activity. Hundreds of aliens from across the galaxy gathered in groups, their appearances more varied than Alex could have imagined. Some floated in containment bubbles, others slithered along the floor. A group of crystalline beings refracted light into rainbow patterns across the walls. "Mason, Alex," called a voice from a nearby desk. "Please report for medical evaluation." Alex made his way to the medical bay, where 2 insectoid doctors and a holographic AI waited. "Please disrobe and step onto the scanner," the taller doctor clicked in accented English. The scan took less than a minute, but the reaction that followed lasted much longer. The doctors chittered excitedly, mandibles working overtime as they reviewed his results. "Something wrong?" Alex asked. "Wrong? No, fascinating," the AI translated as the doctor continued clicking. "Your bone density is 2.3 times our station average. Your muscle mass ratio is extraordinary. And your cardiovascular capacity." "I worked on a ranch," Alex explained. "Lots of heavy lifting." "And these scars?" asked the shorter doctor, pointing to Alex's left forearm. "Barbed wire fence. Got caught in it during a storm when I was 14. More excited chittering. "You were injured by metal spikes and simply continued living?" Alex struggled not to laugh. "Well, my mom cleaned it up and put some stitches in. It's not a big deal." The doctors exchanged glances that even Alex could interpret as astonishment. After the examination, Alex was given his room assignment and student credentials. He navigated the curving corridors of the station until he found Dormitory Wing E, room 217. The door slid open to reveal a split room. One half looked fairly standard with a bed, desk, and storage unit. The other half contained what appeared to be a shallow pool filled with glowing blue crystals. A crystalline figure formed. From the pool, roughly humanoid but transparent with geometric patterns pulsing inside its body. "You must be the Earthling," it said, its voice sounding like wind chimes. "I am Zinthar, 4th cycle student of quantum harmonics." "Alex Mason," he replied, extending his hand out of habit. Zinthar recoiled slightly. "Forgive me, but I have studied your species. Is it true that you evolved from predators?" Alex dropped his hand. "Well, I guess technically, yeah, but I'm not dangerous. Your world has liquid water falling from the sky, temperatures that fluctuate wildly, and thousands of venomous creatures. Yet you call it home." Alex set his bag on the bed. "Like I said, nothing special. Just Earth." Zinthar's crystals pulsed rapidly. We will have much to learn from each other. Alex Mason of Earth. Alex smiled. Maybe this exchange year would be interesting after all. Alex woke to the gentle chime of the Academy's morning alert. For a moment he forgot where he was until he saw the curved metal ceiling of his dormitory and the glowing crystal pool where Zinthar rested. Good cycle, Earth student, Zinthar said, forming into his humanoid shape. You made disturbing noises during your unconscious period. Alex rubbed his eyes. You mean snoring? Sorry about that. Is it a defense mechanism? To scare predators away while you are vulnerable? No, just a breathing thing. Some humans do it, some don't. Alex grabbed his towel and headed to the shower station. He had learned quickly that the water was kept at what Earthlings would consider lukewarm. Apparently, temperature variations were considered dangerous by most species. The Academy dining hall offered food from hundreds of worlds. Alex filled his tray with items marked safe for human consumption, including a purple fruit that tasted like spicy peaches and a protein cube that reminded him of beef jerky. He sat alone at first, until a voice called, "Earth student, join us." Professor Kelvari, a tall, elegant alien with silver skin and eyes that changed color with her emotions, waved from a nearby table. She taught xenoanthropology and had taken a special interest in Alex. I was just telling my colleagues about Earth seasons, she said as Alex sat down. Her eyes shimmered green with excitement. Is it true that your world alternates between freezing and burning conditions every single year? Alex nodded while chewing. Depends where you live. Wyoming gets really cold winters, down to -40 sometimes. Summers can hit over 100 degrees. The three professors at the table stared at him. And organisms survive this? Asked a gelatinous professor whose name Alex couldn't pronounce. Sure. We adapt. Wear coats in winter, shorts in summer. No big deal. The professors exchanged glances. Alex had seen this reaction before. What seemed normal to him was apparently horror movie material to most galactic citizens. Later that day, Alex attended his interstellar politics class. He struggled with the complex diplomatic protocols between thousands of species. His mind wandered to the mountain hike he'd taken last summer, where he'd had to scare off a curious bear. Mason, the professor called. It's your turn for introductions. Please share something about Earth culture with the class. Alex stood, feeling awkward as 40 different species turned to look at him. Well, I'm from Wyoming. That's a state in North America. I grew up on a ranch with my parents. Pretty normal life, went to school, helped with the animals, dealt with the occasional blizzard or wildfire. A student with tentacles raised one. What is a blizzard? It's a serious snowstorm. Wind, snow so thick you can't see. We got trapped. At home for 3 days during a bad one. Had to dig our way out and then climb onto the roof to clear the snow before it collapsed. The classroom fell silent. And a wildfire? Asked another student. Forest fire. 2 years ago, one came within a mile of our property. We had to evacuate the animals and help create a firebreak. More silence. Then a ripple of concerned whispers. Oh, and when I was 9, I got bit by a rattlesnake while exploring behind our barn. That was scary. Professor Kelvari, who was observing from the doorway, stepped in. Students, what Alex is describing so casually are conditions that would be considered apocalyptic on most developed worlds. Earth is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld for good reason. A blue-feathered student chirped nervously. And you survived all this? Alex felt confused. Well, yeah. The snake bite was rough, but Mom got me to the hospital in time. The other stuff is just life. Did your education include combat training for these threats? Asked a student with metallic skin. No, just regular school. Math, science, history. I did join the Wilderness Survival Club, but that was for fun. For fun, repeated Professor Kelvari, her eyes now purple with wonder. Students, this illustrates why the exchange program exists. What seems ordinary to one species can be extraordinary to another. As class ended, students kept their distance from Alex. All except one, a robotic student named P7, approached without fear. Your tolerance for environmental extremes is admirable, P7 said. Perhaps because I too am designed to endure multiple, Conditions, I find your adaptability logical rather than frightening. Alex smiled. Maybe he could make some friends here after all. 2 months flew by at the Celestial Academy. Alex had settled into a routine, excelling in physical classes but struggling with theoretical subjects. The other students still kept their distance, though their fear had gradually turned to curiosity. Attention, all third-cycle students, announced the Academy's AI system one morning. The mandatory survival practicum begins tomorrow. Report to Shuttle Bay 7 at first bell. Alex felt excited. Finally, a class where his skills might be useful. What's the survival practicum? He asked P7, who had become his regular study partner. It is a 3-day exercise on training Moon Delta, the robot explained. Students must demonstrate basic survival skills in a controlled natural environment. Most find it quite challenging. The next morning, Alex packed light, a habit from weekend hiking trips back home. At the shuttle bay, he noticed most students carried excessive equipment, some bringing personal shelter pods and atmospheric regulators. Traveling light, Earth student? Asked Professor Nixla, the survival instructor. She resembled a tall praying mantis with iridescent wings. Yes, ma'am. Figured it's best to be mobile. Interesting approach, she clicked, mandibles twitching, with curiosity. As they boarded the shuttle, Alex heard his name called. Turning, he saw a woman with curly red hair and freckles waving at him. You must be the other human, she said, extending her hand. I'm Lori Winters, biochemistry focus. Been here 3 months and haven't seen another human face. Alex shook her hand, grinning. Alex Mason. Good to meet you. I heard about you, Lori said. The guy who casually talks about surviving natural disasters. The botany students are terrified of you. Alex laughed. Not my intention. Training Moon Delta had Earth-like gravity but milder weather. As students disembarked, Professor Nixla explained the rules. You must establish shelter, locate water, and identify safe food sources. Emergency beacons are available if needed, but using one results in automatic failure. The students spread out across a meadow bordered by a small forest and a stream. Most species grouped together, activating their high-tech equipment immediately. Want to team up? Lori asked Alex. Sure. What survival experience do you have? Girl Scouts until I was 16, then 2 summers as a camp counselor in Maine, she replied. You? Grew up in Wyoming, camping, hunting, fishing, the usual. They found a good spot near the tree line and began gathering materials. While other students assembled complex prefabricated shelters, Alex and Lori gathered branches, leaves, and flexible saplings. Building by hand? Professor Nixla asked, appearing suddenly. Yes, Professor, Alex said. Simple lean-to design. Works well enough. The professor watched as Alex lashed branches together using plant fibers he had stripped and twisted into cordage. His knife, the only tool he had brought, moved efficiently through the materials. Most students use the provided nano-assemblers, she noted. Alex shrugged. This works fine. Plus, it's warm today, but the temperature will drop tonight. Physical work keeps you warm. Other students began gathering nearby, watching the humans, with fascination. When Alex used his knife to create a fire bow and successfully started a small fire, gasps spread through the crowd. You created combustion? With sticks? Asked a gelatinous student. Basic friction fire, Lori explained. Human civilization started using this method thousands of years ago. As evening approached, a light rain began falling. Most alien students retreated to their shelters, but Alex continued working, using large leaves to create a water collection system. Aren't you concerned about the precipitation? Asked Zinthar, who had constructed a crystalline dome. This? Alex looked up at the gentle drizzle. This is nothing. Back home we get thunderstorms that shake the ground. Later, as they cooked roots and berries that Lori had identified as safe, Alex noticed students from various species watching them from shelter doorways. We've become the main attraction, Lori whispered. I think they're just surprised we're not using tech, Alex replied. No, said Professor Nixla, who had silently approached again. They are surprised because what we designed as a challenging test of survival skills is merely Tuesday on Earth. Alex and Lori exchanged glances and smiled. Maybe being from a Deathworld had its advantages after all. Back at the academy after the survival practicum, Alex had gained a new reputation. Students no longer avoided him in the corridors. Instead, they asked questions about Earth and watched him with a mixture of fear and respect. Alex and Lori often sat together at meals, swapping stories about their different lives on the same planet. She was from Boston, had never ridden a horse, and looked at stars through telescopes instead of with the naked eye on camping trips, but they shared the same human resilience that fascinated their alien classmates. One afternoon, as Alex studied in the main atrium, alarms began blaring. Red lights flashed across the curved ceilings. Warning: environmental control failure in Biodome Section 12. All personnel evacuate immediately, announced the Academy. AI students hurried toward the exits. Alex joined the flow until he heard Lori's voice. Alex, have you seen Miralon? She was studying in the rare plants section when the alarm started. Alex froze. Miralon was a plant-based life form from a world of perfect stability. She resembled a slender green humanoid with flowers blooming across her shoulders and vines for hair. That's in Section 12, Alex realized. The failure zone. She might be trapped, Lori said, her face pale. Her species can't handle rapid environmental changes. Without hesitation, Alex ran against the crowd, heading toward the sealed doorway marked Section 12 Botanical Studies. Stop, called a security officer, a blue tentacled being. That section is experiencing extreme fluctuations, temperature ranges of 15 degrees, atmospheric pressure changes, no students allowed. 15 degrees, Alex repeated. That's nothing. I've got a classmate in there who might be in trouble. Before the officer could stop him, Alex slipped past and pressed his hand to the emergency override. The door slid open just enough for him to squeeze through. Inside, the biodome was chaos. Plants from 100 worlds filled the massive space, many already wilting from the stress. Alarms continued to wail as sprinkler systems activated randomly. The temperature shifted rapidly from uncomfortably warm to slightly cool and back again. Miralon, Alex called, moving quickly through the educational garden paths. Where are you? A faint glow caught his eye. Behind a display of carnivorous plants from Nexus Prime, he found her. Miralon had collapsed beside her research station, her body curled into a protective ball. The flowers on her shoulders had closed tight and her vine hair had wrapped around her torso. Miralon, can you hear me? No response. Alex guessed she had entered some kind of dormant state to protect herself from the changing conditions. He checked her vital signs the way Professor Calvary had taught them for plant-based species. A faint purple pulse still glowed beneath her bark-like skin. Hang on. I'll get you out of here. Alex gently lifted her. She was lighter than he expected, like carrying a hollow wooden sculpture. He made his way back toward the exit, navigating through falling leaves and broken branches. By the time he reached the door, his shirt was soaked from the sprinklers and he was sweating slightly from the temperature changes. The security officer and a medical team waited on the other side. By the stars, gasped the doctor, taking Miralon from Alex's arms. You went in there? Without protective gear? It wasn't that bad, Alex said, wiping water from his face. Honestly, it was milder than a spring shower back home. Later, in the medical bay, Academy officials gathered around Alex as doctors examined him for signs of stress or injury. You experienced temperature variations of 14 degrees, humidity changes of 30%, and atmospheric pressure fluctuations, said the Academy director, a tall being with glowing symbols floating around her head. By all accounts, these should have caused significant discomfort. Alex shrugged. It honestly just felt like a mild spring day with a passing shower. Nothing dangerous. The director's symbols pulsed rapidly. What you consider mild, Mr. Mason? We consider an emergency situation. Miralon has stabilized, thanks to your actions. You may very well have saved her life. From a nearby bed where Miralon was recovering, her vine hair reached out and gently touched Alex's arm. It was the plant equivalent of profound gratitude. Just helping a classmate, Alex said, slightly embarrassed by all the attention. Anyone would have done the same. No, said the director firmly. They would not. And that is precisely what makes humans so remarkable. The story of Alex's rescue spread quickly through the academy. Students who had once avoided him now approached with questions. The biodome incident had transformed him from a curiosity into something of a celebrity. "Alex!" called a voice as he entered the cafeteria a week later. A group of diverse aliens waved him over. "We saved you a spot," said P7, the robotic student. To his surprise, Miralon was there too, fully recovered, her flowers once again blooming brilliantly on her shoulders. "My people do not forget those who help us survive," she said, her voice like rustling leaves. "I would have remained dormant for months without your assistance." Alex shrugged. Anyone would have helped. But not anyone could have entered that environment without protection, pointed out Zinthar, who now seemed much less afraid of his human roommate. As they ate, Lori joined them. She carried a data tablet with excitement in her eyes. "Alex, Professor. Kelvari wants us to give a special presentation in her Galactic History class tomorrow. About Earth." Alex groaned. "I'm terrible at presentations." "Don't worry. I'll handle the science parts. You just need to share your experiences." The next day, the lecture hall was packed. Even students not enrolled in the class had come to hear about the mysterious Deathworld called Earth. Professor Kelvari introduced them with eyes glowing green with excitement. "Today we have a rare opportunity to learn about a Class 12 planet. From native inhabitants. Earth may be the most extreme inhabited world in our galactic catalog." Lori began with scientific facts. Earth's heavy gravity, extreme temperature ranges, and violent weather systems. Then she turned to Alex. "But numbers don't tell the whole story. Alex, can you share what life on Earth is really like?" Alex stepped forward nervously. He had never liked public speaking. "Well, Earth has these things called seasons. 4 of them in most places. They change throughout the year as our planet tilts toward or away from our sun." He pulled up images of his hometown throughout the year. Snow piled high in winter, spring floods, summer heat, and fall colors. "During my lifetime, I've experienced temperatures from -40 to about 110 degrees. We adapt with clothing, shelter, and technology." The audience murmured in shock. "But what about extinction events?" asked a professor from the back. "Our records show Earth has experienced at least 5 mass extinctions." "That's right," Lori confirmed. "The most recent major one killed the dinosaurs about 65 million years ago when an asteroid hit our planet." More murmurs. "And humans evolved after these events?" asked a student. "Way after." Alex nodded. "Our planet has been trying to kill life for billions of years, but life keeps adapting and surviving." He showed images of natural disasters, hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, floods. "My grandmother lived through a major tornado that destroyed her town. They rebuilt. My dad survived a flood that washed away bridges and homes. They rebuilt. Humans just keep going." The images shifted to show mountains, oceans, forests, and deserts. Earth is harsh, but it's also beautiful. Maybe because of the challenges, not despite them. As the presentation ended, students bombarded them with questions. Many could not understand how a species could evolve on such a dangerous world. "It is simple," explained an elderly professor who had remained silent until now. "The humans before us are the descendants of survivors. Their ancestors lived through ice ages, famines, plagues, and predators. Natural selection on a death world produces species with extraordinary resilience." Alex hadn't thought of it that way. He had always seen his life as ordinary. "One final question," said Professor Kelvari. "Do humans fear these conditions? The extreme weather, the natural disasters?" Alex considered this. "We respect the danger, we prepare for it, but fear it? Not really. Earth is just home." As the class ended, students approached Alex and Lori, no longer keeping their distance. Their stories of ordinary Earth life had become the most exotic tales in the academy. "If your species could evolve and thrive on such a world," said a jellyfish-like student, "perhaps you are more remarkable than any of us realized." The academy announced a cultural exchange festival 2 weeks after Alex and Lori's presentation. Each species would showcase aspects of their homeworld's culture, traditions, and daily life. "We have to represent all of Earth," Lori said, looking overwhelmed as they planned their exhibit. "That's thousands of cultures. Let's focus on shared human experiences," Alex suggested. "Things that most humans understand regardless of their specific culture." They spent days gathering materials and programming simulations. When the festival began, the Academy's main hall transformed into a galaxy of diverse exhibits. Some species demonstrated psychic connections, others showed art made from light or sound that humans couldn't fully perceive. The Earth exhibit attracted attention from the start. Alex and Lori had created a multi-station display covering human food, music, art, and recreational activities. "This station is about human food," Lori explained to a group of curious aliens. She had prepared samples of various dishes, properly, adjusted to be safe for different species. "These are called spices," she said, displaying small containers. "Humans add them to food for flavor." A gelatinous student absorbed a tiny amount of diluted hot sauce. "But this causes pain," it bubbled in alarm. "It creates a burning sensation." "Yes," Alex nodded. "Many humans enjoy that sensation." "You deliberately consume substances that cause discomfort?" asked Professor Nixla, mandibles clicking in confusion. "Some of us seek out extremely spicy foods specifically for the challenge," Lori added. The aliens exchanged looks of bewilderment. At the next station, Alex demonstrated human music, from classical pieces to rock and electronic dance music. "The bass vibrations in this music would damage many species' sensory organs," commented a floating gas cloud being. "Yet humans not only tolerate it but gather in large groups to experience it together." "Dance clubs can get pretty intense," Alex admitted. "The loud music, flashing lights, and crowds are part of the appeal." The recreation station caused the biggest stir. Alex and Lori displayed videos of extreme sports, skydiving, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, and surfing. "These humans are deliberately falling from high altitudes," gasped a crystalline student. "With parachutes," Alex clarified. "It's called skydiving. I've done it 3 times. "But why?" asked the Academy director, who had come to observe the popular exhibit. "For fun," Lori said. "The rush of adrenaline, the excitement of controlled danger." "Controlled danger," repeated the director. "A concept that could only evolve on a Deathworld." Afternoon, the Earth exhibit had drawn the largest crowd. Alex suggested a demonstration of light boxing, something physical but not too intense. "Lori and I will show a basic sparring match," he explained, as they both put on padded gloves. "It's a sport where opponents try to hit each other while blocking incoming strikes." They began a gentle demonstration, throwing light punches that barely connected. Even so, several aliens backed away in horror. "They're attacking each other," shrieked a plant-based student. "It's just practice," Alex assured them, stopping immediately. "No one gets hurt. Well, not seriously." "You do this for recreation?" asked Zinthar, crystals pulsing in agitation. "Some humans do, yes," Lori said. "Combat sports have rules and safety measures." Academy security arrived, concerned about the commotion. After Alex explained, they permitted the exhibit to continue but required a warning sign. "Demonstration of human recreational combat, not actual violence." As the festival continued, Alex noticed something fascinating. Despite their fear and shock, the alien students kept returning to the Earth exhibit. There was something compelling about the human approach to life. "I think I understand now," said Miralon as the event concluded. "Humans don't merely survive their dangerous world. You embrace its challenges, you transform threats into games." "I never thought of it that way," Alex replied. "But I guess you're right. Earth taught us to find joy even in difficult conditions." "A remarkable evolutionary strategy," said Professor Kelvari, her eyes shifting to a deep blue of respect. "Perhaps that is the true lesson of humanity, not just survival but thriving in adversity." 8 months into the exchange program, Alex felt at home in the Celestial Academy. His circle of friends had grown to include students from a dozen different species. Lori and he had become unofficial ambassadors for Earth, regularly fielding questions about human culture and biology. One quiet evening, Alex sat in the observatory dome with Zinthar and Miralan, watching distant stars through the Academy's powerful telescope. Their peaceful stargazing was interrupted by a sudden shudder that ran through the entire station. The lights flickered and dimmed. Gravity wavered momentarily, causing Alex to float a few inches off his seat before settling back down. "What was that?" he asked, instinctively grabbing the edge of the table. The Academy AI's voice crackled through damaged speakers. "Emergency alert. Station has sustained damage from undetected comet fragment. Primary power core compromised. Gravity systems unstable. Atmospheric regulation at risk." The three friends exchanged alarmed glances. "This facility has multiple backup systems," Zinthar said, his crystalline form flickering anxiously. "They should activate soon." But the seconds ticked by, and the emergency systems failed to fully engage. The lights remained dim, and the temperature began to drop noticeably. "Something's wrong with the backups," Alex said, rising to his feet. "We need to check on others." The corridors were filled with confused and frightened students. Some species more sensitive to environmental changes were already showing signs of distress. Alex found Lori helping a group of younger students. "Engineering. Says a comet fragment hit the primary reactor," she explained quickly. "Backup systems are only partially online. They're struggling to stabilize life support." Another violent shudder ran through the station. The gravity fluctuated wildly, causing everyone to rise several feet in the air before crashing back down. Emergency hatches began closing automatically throughout the station. "The station is sealing off damaged sections," explained P7, who had joined them. "But atmospheric leaks are occurring faster than the system can compensate." Alex's mind raced. On Earth, he had helped during natural disasters, floods, fires, even a small earthquake once. This was different, but the principles were the same. Assess, prioritize, act. "Lori, you know biochemistry. Can you help engineering monitor air quality?" he asked. "P7, your sensors can detect structural weaknesses, right? Check the integrity of this section." Without waiting for permission from Academy officials, Alex organized their growing group of friends into an emergency response team. He showed them how to use clothing and available materials to patch small air leaks, how to move efficiently in fluctuating gravity, and how to create temporary heating sources for temperature-sensitive species. When the station's chief engineer, a six-armed insectoid, arrived with her team, she was surprised to find organized response already underway. "Who authorized these emergency measures?" she demanded. "No one," Alex admitted. "But we couldn't wait. These patches are temporary, but they're buying time." The engineer inspected one of Alex's makeshift seals on a leaking air vent. It consisted of recycled packaging material and adhesive from the art department, reinforced with pieces of metal from a damaged wall panel. This is surprisingly effective," she admitted. "How did you know to do this?" "Back home, we deal with emergencies all the time," Alex explained. "Different problems, same principles. Adapt what you have. Work together. Stay calm." The engineer's communication device buzzed. "The main response team is trapped in Section Cho 7, she said grimly. "A structural collapse has blocked their path to the primary reactor controls." "Is there another way to reach it?" Alex asked. "Only through the external maintenance tunnels," she replied. "But temperatures there have dropped to near freezing, and radiation levels are elevated due to the reactor damage." Alex and Lori exchanged glances. "Freezing temperatures and some radiation," Lori said. "That's just a bad winter day near a nuclear plant." "We'll go," Alex told the engineer. "Just tell us what needs to be done when we reach the controls." As they prepared for the dangerous journey, Zinthar approached. "Your Deathworld adaptations," he said quietly. "They were not evolutionary flaws, as some believed. They were preparation for this moment." Alex nodded. "Sometimes the harshest environments create the most useful skills." The graduation ceremony for the Galactic Federation exchange program was held in the Academy's Grand Hall. 3 months had passed since the comet crisis. The station had been fully repaired, but the memory of that day remained vivid for everyone. Alex stood in his formal Earth attire, a simple black suit that felt stiff after months of academy uniforms. Beside him, Lori wore a dark blue dress with her curly red hair styled elegantly. They looked ordinary compared to the exotic appearances of their alien classmates, yet they received the most respectful glances. The Academy Chancellor, a being composed of swirling light and energy, floated onto the stage. Her voice resonated through the hall without needing amplification. "This year's exchange program has been extraordinary in many ways," she began. "We faced unprecedented challenges. We learned unexpected lessons. And we discovered that our differences are not merely physical or biological, but extend to how we perceive and respond to the universe itself." She gestured toward Alex and Lori. "Our human exchange students demonstrated that what one species considers an emergency, another might view as a mild inconvenience. What seems like reckless behavior to some may be essential survival skills to others." The Chancellor described the comet incident, how Alex and Lori had navigated the freezing, radiation-exposed maintenance tunnels to help restart the primary reactor systems, how they had organized their fellow students into effective emergency teams, how their Deathworld instincts had saved countless lives. "In recognition of these contributions, we are establishing a new course at the Academy, Deathworld Survival Strategies. Future human exchange students will serve as teaching assistants, sharing their unique perspective with the galaxy." Alex felt his face grow warm with embarrassment. He had never sought recognition for doing what seemed obvious to any human. After the ceremony, students gathered to say goodbyes. Many would travel home to distant worlds, perhaps never to see each other again. Zinthar approached Alex, his crystalline form glowing with subtle patterns that Alex had learned to recognize as deep emotion. "When I first met you, I feared you," Zinthar admitted. "The stories of Earth filled me with dread. A predator species from a world of constant danger. How could such beings be trusted?" His crystals pulsed with a gentle light. "Now I understand that the same forces that made you strong also made you kind. You do not merely survive your harsh world, you protect others from similar harshness. Perhaps that is humanity's greatest adaptation." Alex smiled, touched by his roommate's words. "I'll miss you too, Zinthar." Later, as Alex packed his few belongings, Lori burst into his room with excitement. "I just spoke with the Chancellor. They've approved our proposal for the Earth Exchange Initiative." Alex grinned. They had spent weeks developing a program that would bring alien students to Earth for short, carefully managed visits. "Perfect timing," he said. "My family's ranch has plenty of space for the first test group. Can you imagine Miralan's reaction to a light summer rain?" Lori laughed. As they boarded the transport ship that would take them home, Alex took a final look at the Celestial Academy through the viewport. For the first time, he truly appreciated how extraordinary his ordinary life on Earth had been. "What will you tell people back home?" Lori asked as the ship prepared for departure. "That I spent a year teaching aliens how to handle a little bad weather and simple emergencies," Alex replied with a smile. "And that I have 24 pen pals who still can't believe I grew up swimming in dihydrogen monoxide for fun." The ship accelerated away from the station, carrying the humans back to their beautiful, terrible, wonderful Deathworld, a planet that had prepared them not just to survive the universe, but to help others do the same. As Earth came into view, blue and green and perfect in its deadly splendor, Alex realized that he would never see his home the same way again. What had once seemed ordinary now looked magnificent, not despite its dangers, but because of them. He was a Deathworlder, and he was proud of it.